What's up, everybody? This is Harpoon and Puppies with Op-Ed Gaming, bringing to you another edition of What the Facebook. In this edition of What the Facebook, I'm going to stay as far away from the presidential elections as I possibly can. So instead, I'm going to tackle a much bigger threat to America than whether Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton get elected, and that is this meme. And this meme is so accurate. The simple algebra question is in fact confusing the internet, and it is so upsetting to me that most people on the internet cannot solve a simple freaking algebra problem. So I'm going to break this down for you as Barney style as I possibly can, getting started with that top line. Now, as we can see on this top line, we have 3 horses. I'm going to name this horse Jeff just for good measure. Now, we know that 3 Jeffs is equal to 30, and you're probably already solving this in your head going, Harpoon and Puppies, I know that Jeff is worth 10, whatever 10 is. But I don't care. I'm going to break this down for you exactly how you're supposed to do it. So again, we have 1 Jeff, 2 Jeff, 3 Jeffs. Now, how can you write this in such a way that instead of having addition, we can have some multiplication? Well, if you have 3 of the exact same thing, we know, hopefully, my God, you know what? I can't even take that for granted, but I'm going to assume that you know that that means that you have 3 times of Jeff. So you can write that as 3 times Jeff. Now, to find out how much Jeff is, you got to divide both sides by 3. And yes, that is allowed as long as you do everything you do to the left side to the right side of that equal sign. Dividing by 3 shows us that Jeff is in fact worth 10. So everybody that guessed right away that Jeff is worth 10, you are absolutely correct. Now let's move on to the second line. We see that Jeff plus a couple pairs of his J's here are totally worth 18. Now, to make this nice and easy, we're going to get rid of Jeff out of here and just deal with his J's. Subtract both sides by 10 because we know that Jeff is worth 10, and we see that 2 pairs of his J's worth 8. Now, doing the same thing we did when we had 3 Jeffs in a row, we can rewrite this as 2 times a pair of J's, and we can divide both sides by 2 to get a wonderful 1 pair of J's is equal to 4. Look at all this information we have now. We know that Jeffs are worth 10, the J's are worth 4, but what's this next problem? We got a pair of J's versus a pair of cowboy boots equals 2. Well, of course, a pair of cowboy boots next to a pair of J's is going to depreciate them, right? Ha! So using the exact same methods we did up top, we can rearrange this equation so that we can just get the 4 on the left side minus 2 is equal to a pair of cowboy boots, which means that the cowboy boots are worth 2. And I'm sure a lot of you, again, are like Harpoon and Puppies, just get to the part where everybody keeps screwing this up. And don't worry, I'm getting there. That's actually going to be next. So now we look down below and we have a cowboy boot. Well, what does that mean? Well, it probably means that the 2 that the cowboy boots are worth is just cut in half because you have half as many boots. You used to have 2, you have 1. 1 is half of 2, right? You have a package of Twix, you eat half of them, you're left with 1 Twix. So that means that the cowboy boot is worth 1. Well, let's look at the J's. Because as you remember, we have a single horseshoe there. But now this time, the pair of J's are worth 4, which means that each horseshoe has got to be worth 2. Because half of 4 is frickin' 2. I don't want to go into that math, but it's real. Trust me. That means that we're left with a cowboy boot, a Jeff, and a J. Or 1 plus 10 times 2. Now, how do we solve this? Well, folks, that's where we got to use PEMDAS. Some of you may have heard of this before. For others of you, this may be entirely freaking new. What does PEMDAS stand for? It stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. Ladies and gentlemen, they call this the order of operations for a very, very specific reason, because this is the order that you have to do mathematical operations. There's no exceptions to this rule. You follow this no matter what. It's so important that when I was in school, they taught us a little saying that was, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now, I don't give a shit what you use to remember it. You could say, Pluto eats my dirty ass, Sally, or whatever you want. Just remember it because it is that freaking important. So how do we apply this? Well, first, starting from left to right, starting with the P, parentheses. Are there any parentheses in this frickin' equation? No, there's not. So we're just going to move on. And I'm going to show you why parentheses matter later. Are there any exponents? If you don't know what an exponent is, go to mathisfun.com, figure it out, come back, check out this problem, and you will see that clearly there are no exponents. Now, multiplication and division, I put them on the same line here for a very specific reason. It wasn't to save space. It's because it doesn't matter which way you do those as long as you do it in order from left to right, just like you read stuff. So as we go through this little equation here, we got the 1. That's a plus sign, so that's addition. So we can't do that yet because we're not on that line yet. Then we got a Jeff worth 10 there. Multiplication there. So 10 times 2 is the first thing we have to do, which means that gives us 20. Now, do we have any other multiplication or division in this problem as we go left to right? No, because we hit the frickin' equal sign, which is the end of the road. So going down to the next level, we have addition and subtraction. So we have the 1. There it is. There's that plus, which means you now add that 1 to the 20, and that gets you your answer, which of course is 21. And I promise you that is 100% the right freaking answer. If you got anything other than that, you done messed up. So what about that example I said where if I throw some parentheses in this, how does that change things? Well, let's just throw parentheses willy-nilly right there around the 1, the cowboy boot and Jeff there, the 1 and the 10. Well, now you got to do that first, which means that becomes 11, and then it becomes 11 times 2, which means that the answer becomes 22. And then there's all sorts of other ways people probably screw this up that I don't want to get into, but I hope to God that is the most common one that people just really messed up on. Remember the order of operations, people. It is literally the way you do math. But anyways, that's this edition of What the Facebook. I really hope you're able to take something away from this, like perhaps how to help your second grader do his math homework. And if you enjoyed the video, please share the video, please subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching.